Hey, welcome back to another episode of Hear Me When I Say, the podcast. And I'm your boo, Lady T, and we are talking all things telecommunicating, our stressors, our traumas, our triggers, our treatments, our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, our emotional health. And we're talking all things work-life balance and self-care and all the things in between. So, with that being said, we're going to get started with this episode. I guess talking about how I got started into telecommunicating. Okay? Let's do a quick intro. Really quickly. I guess that's the right word to say. I don't know. I'm still new to this. I'm at a different park. This is where I feel a little bit more comfortable. I feel a little more relaxed and calm right here. This is still a new thing for me, but we're gonna rock out with it. So I'm at a different park. As you can see, I'm still near some water. Like, that's my thing. But this pond don't quite look right. Looks a little. It definitely looks dirty. But I don't know if you can hear like the crickets and the birds and all that other stuff in the background. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a city girl at heart, born and raised. But as long as nothing comes jumping out at me, we good. We're gonna stay right here, okay? It's about 92 degrees out here. I'm not mad at that. I love the summertime. I love the heat, so I'll take the heat. I just don't know how my hair feels about it, because when I got out the car, I had a couple more inches. Like it was down here, and now it's up here. So I don't know if you can kind of, see the difference. It's decided to swell up on me. So bear with me, guys. It looks, it looks how it looks. Don't judge me. It's mine and I'm loving it, and I'm just going to let it be what it be. So back to telecommunicating. Hi, all my telecommunicators out there around the world. Please come on into the room, join me. I need you to hit the like button, subscribe. Please share with all telecommunicators and first responders around the world. Let me know I'm not alone out here. But yeah, let's get into it, I guess. So as for me, we're going to take it back a little bit and start with graduating high school. So I'm not going to date myself. Try not to give it away. But I don't know anybody else whose parents raised them with their hopes and dreams for your life. So as for my family or my household, they were projecting onto me the career path I should take and the schooling that I should choose, and the course curriculum I should choose, which was basically what they wanted for me, but not necessarily what I wanted for myself. So I ultimately wanted to go to school for dancing. I wanted to be a professional ballet dancer in Juilliard, dance for Alvin Ailey, all of those things. And I was told no. Like, if you break an ankle, then what? Like, that's not a career. That's not going to lead you nowhere. All of the things. They was like, go to school, get a degree, get a job in the government, get a job as a doctor or a lawyer, and then come back and take care of me. It's kind of what I was told. So with that being said, I went to school and I chose the medical field because I was like, I like helping people. I like healing people. I don't think I want to do anything with needles. I don't want to do anything necessarily like cutting on people, but I still want to help them. So that's kind of me just trying to figure out how I can give them what they're asking for, but at the same time, still pick something that I know I could tolerate or that I could actually commit to and stick with. So with that being said, I chose physical therapy originally. So my goal was to go to school to be a physical therapist and get a dual degree in sports medicine, athletic training. And it was going good for a while, and then life was lifing, family was familying. If that's a word, don't judge me. I'm just trying to find a short way to describe it. But basically, I took longer than the 4-year limit or the 4-year expectation that was on me to graduate. But at the end of the day, I finally graduated. I did get my bachelor's degree, so whoop whoop. I did get it eventually. It took a while, and when that was done, the next step was grad school. Well, needless to say, I was unable to go to grad school. I had to take care of family, so that I consider like putting it on the back burner. But now that some years has gone by, I'm like, I don't even think I want to be bothered with that anymore. And I was like, well, I can't go into the career field of physical therapy or sports medicine. So what else am I going to do in the medical field to help anybody out if I'm not going to go that route, since I'm not going to do grad school? With that being said, I decided to volunteer at the fire department because I grew up watching MASH with my grandparents. I grew up watching ER, the original ER, and I was just like, I kind of like that. I was like, I grew up watching Any Heat of the Night, so, law enforcement, the sheriff, the firemen, first responders, and who else? What other shows did I grow up watching? I don't know. There's some other ones, I'm pretty sure, for back in the day where with my grandparents, that it just drew me to the medical field. So I was just like, let me try volunteer to work on an ambulance. And I was just like, let me volunteer first before I take the test and go through the training, and then I get out on the street and I freeze up, or I like mess up, like majorly mess up because of like anxiety or something, and I end up messing up somebody's life. So I was like, let me try volunteering first, see if I like it, see if it's for me, then I'll pursue it on the career side. And so I signed up to be an EMT and a firefighter. I did that for 5 years. I realized that I did like that. I realized I don't really like the desk work, sitting like in a cubicle or in an isolated place, clock in, clock out, and it's just the same room, the same 4 walls, things of that nature. I was like, I like variety. I like every day being something different, but also feeling like I accomplished something, like I really got a task done for the day. So I did that for 5 years, and then I was like, I want to go to the hospitals. Let me try working in the ED. And they was like, well, we need you to have your EMT and your CNA. We want you to have both certificates as a prerequisite to be hired. Get off me. In order to get hired as an ED tech. So, back to school I go. I get certified as a CNA, and I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I ended up getting a job working at a home health care agency, going from house to house, caring for patients. And that was pretty cool for the most part, until most of my patients started passing away, like almost back to back. And I'm like, I don't really like this. I don't like the fact that you're here today and you're gone tomorrow, and I'm out of a job tomorrow. Or should I say, I'm out of so many hours to work for that week. And you do build a rapport, a relationship with them. You do get a little bit of attachment to them. And it's like, So I was like, okay, what else can I do to still stick with the medical field? Because, like I said, I genuinely had a passion for patients. I genuinely had a passion for the elderly. I had a passion for the babies. My grandmother had a daycare in her house, and that's who raised me. So I was always helping out with the babies. So I didn't need to like go work at another place with babies. I had plenty of babies to care for 10 plus years right then and there as I was coming and going from school and work in and out the house. So with that said, I was just trying to figure out, I was really just trying to find my way. I don't know if any of you guys can relate. I've talked to other telecommunicators or first responders, and they're like, yeah, no, I'm second generation, I'm fourth generation, I'm fifth generation, first responder, law enforcement, firefighter, EMT, doctors, nurse practitioners, things of that nature. But as for me, I am first generation. Everybody else in my family, majority of the people in my family worked in the government, worked for the post office or worked for the metro. So I'm the only one that's kind of not had a structured career, I guess you could say. I mean, I know EMT, first responder, is a career and it's structured, but like my journey to getting up to that point, as you can see, is me all over the place, like in different fields of the medical field, different categories of the medical field. I think that's the right way to word it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Drop the comments down below if I'm using the wrong verbiage. Help me out here. But basically that's kind of my path. And so I was really just tired of working 2 and 3 jobs to pay bills, make ends meet in DC. Things were getting expensive, and I was just like, all right, it's time for me to go. So I relocated to a different state, and I decided to apply for a position in the hospital there, because I finally got my certifications and I was applying for positions at the hospital back home, but for whatever reason, it just was not happening for me. Let me say that. I was not getting callbacks. I was not getting interviews. When I would follow up with the application process, they say the position got filled. So I just take it that was just not the path that I was meant to go down at that moment. Because as soon as I decided to relocate and the first application I put in at a hospital, I got it. I got the job right away. So I didn't get the job in the ED, but I got the job in the cardiovascular ICU unit. That was definitely cool. That was definitely unique. I really enjoyed my patients there. And it still kind of was doing the same thing day in, day out, because most of those patients would be there for 3-4 days, sometimes a week, while they're recovering from their chest being cracked open and their open heart surgery. But sometimes you could get a new patient. Sometimes those patients would go home. So it was hit or miss. It wasn't too monotonous, but it was not guaranteed to be something different either. It, like I said, hit or miss. But overall, I made the most of it. I really enjoyed my patients. They really enjoyed me. So it was a lot of fun, and I definitely got a lot of wonderful experience working there. And picking up overtime in the ED and picking up overtime in the medical ICU and the pediatric ICU, the NICU, neonatal ICU. So it was cool. I was able to bounce around to different departments in the hospital just to get a feel for other departments and a feel for other levels of patients' medical necessity, their medical care. But that came to an end as well. And so I had to leave that department. And I was in between jobs, and I was just like, okay, so what am I going to do now? Where am I going to go? And I decided to do Uber and Lyft just to keep money in my pocket, just to keep my bills going while I was putting applications everywhere else, just to stay afloat. Like, going back home was not an option. Like, my family was definitely sending me job applications and career field or career, what is it? When they're having all the different companies coming together to set up tables and you just walk around from table to table to inquire about jobs and inquire about positions. It's not career field day. It's job. I don't know. Don't have me tell you no lies. But y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. But that's where they were like, come on back home. Come on back home. They're still hiring. Got my face. And so I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. No, I left for a reason. So let me work it out here. Let me at least have a good amount of time here before I say this isn't working out. Let me go back home. I hope you guys can relate. I hope you guys are following my story so far. I hope I'm not boring you. But at the same time, moving forward, I ended up dropping one of my Lyft customers off in front of this medical company. And I was like, what is this big building? Or what do they do there? And he's like, oh, it's an ambulance company. It's a private ambulance company. We just drive around or whatnot. And I was like, how do you like it? He's like, it's cool. And I was like, I was like, do they have dispatching jobs? Now, granted, I love being on the ambulance. I'm still certified to this day. The only difference is that it was starting to weigh on me as far as my back, lifting the stretchers and things of that nature. And everybody doesn't always have the firefighters there to be your manpower. You may not always be able to pull staff away from patients to give you that extra lift that you need. So I was like, maybe I can apply at this job, but this time let me do the dispatching side. Let me go in-house and still help, still be able to serve the community, but reserve my back. And with that being said, I was just like, this should be pretty easy, it should be pretty chill. And once again, because I told you, I don't like being in cubicles. I don't like sitting at the desk every day doing the same mundane thing over and over and over again. Some people like it. It works well for them. I'm not that person. So I was just like, I hope that this is, exciting. It'll be something different, something new. I can still help the people. The only experience I've ever had telecommunicating prior to that is watching TV. Just watching 911 and watching all the other medical shows that may have a small scene in their shows of a dispatcher or of a telecommunicator. And when let's be real. When you watch those shows, they always seem scared. They always seem nervous and they're panicking, and that's it. As soon as you say help is on the way, stay calm. They're like, okay, all right, thank you. And then they're so thankful. They're so, thank you so much. And then reality hits. I get the job. I go through the training. You get released on your own. And that is not the world that you operate in a real dispatch center. So joke's on me. Haha. But that's what I thought, and that's why I was like, okay, I should be able to handle that, and I should be able to just still be able to serve my community, but save my back and my legs. I didn't know that I was trading off physical labor for mental labor. I didn't know that I was going to be taking on stress in a different capacity or in a different, showing up in a different form in my body. I did not know that 1 year into me doing this job that my whole world was going to hit a brick wall. Because I got hired in 2019. I didn't know the next year, 2020, was going to be 2020. Okay? So, with that being said, I've had a very interesting journey, a very interesting ride in this career field so far. It definitely has not been anything that I've expected, and I was not prepared adequately, in my opinion, for the extensiveness that this job, not the extensiveness, what's the right word to say? I wasn't prepared for the traumatic nuances of what the job may bring, or the stresses that this job is going to bring. And with that being said, I've noticed people getting hired after me are saying the same thing. They're saying, hey, they didn't talk about that in orientation. I didn't get that in training. Yeah, we did some simulations, but we didn't do simulations dealing with these type of issues. And so I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to tell the caller. I just, what do I do with this caller when they throw me this curveball that goes off script, So with that being said, you can tell your superiors, you can tell your coworkers or whoever, but who's really going to do something about it? And hence the reason why we're at Hear Me When I Say. So that way we can take the time to discuss it amongst ourselves, discuss it in a safe space on this platform, and just get out our own concerns, get out our own frustrations, get out our own laughter and jokes. Because I'm going to tell you right now, being a first responder, being a telecommunicator, being the first responder, we have what you would call a crude sense of humor. We have dark sense of humor. It don't make it okay all the time, I guess, from an outsider listening in. But it's our truth. It's a part of our world. It's a part of what comes with the territory. It's a coping method, a coping mechanism that we have adopted because we see a lot of trauma, we hear a lot of trauma, and it can stick with us, it can weigh on us if we are not careful about how to hold on to it, or how to let it go, or how to process it, digest it, compartmentalize it, all of the things. So, with that being said, I need to stop saying with that being said. I'm hearing myself. Okay. Let me work on that. Okay. So, that's how I got into being a telecommunicator, and I've been in it now going on almost 5 years. January make 5 years that I've been a part of it. Another thing that I learned is not all call centers are the same. So where I'm located, 911 is separate. Well, not 911, but police. Police is separate from fire dispatch, separate from medical dispatch. I, being as though this is the first telecommunicator job I've ever had, didn't know that other call centers are not like this until I started talking to other telecommunicators, and they tell me that they process all of it in-house. They process police, fire, and medical all right at their desk. They ask you, hey, what's the address of your emergency? Do you need police? Do you need fire? Do you need medic? And depending on which one you, as the caller, tells us, then they pull up that screen and they read that script. So I need y'all telecommunicators to tell me how your call centers are set up. Do you operate with just police? Do you operate with just medic? Do you operate with fire only? Do you do medical and fire like I do? Do you do highway patrol? Do you do state trooper? I don't know if state trooper is highway patrol. We call it highway patrol here, but of course I see state trooper, and I don't know if that's the same or different department. The sheriff department is a different department. I know we have other dispatchers like OnStar and ADT and other companies like that who do dispatching, who still have to process when a medical alarm goes off or a burglar alarm goes off. They still have to call over to us, and we still have to process the call for them. But they're in a call center of their own. So with knowing that's the different categories, to the different types of call centers. Each telecommunicator is going to experience something different. But I can only speak for the one that I've come from, which is 911, but we process medical and fire calls. And it weighs on us. It really, really weighs on us. So a lot of the callers that I've gotten are frustrated. They're angry. I never knew that there was a such thing called an emotional wheel. I didn't know that the emotional wheel has all the different outside emotions, but they narrow down to still like the core basic emotions. So it's like if you're scared, it comes out as anger. If you're scared, it can come out as laughter. Like if you're mad about something, people laugh instead of expressing rage or yelling. I might have gotten it wrong already. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But I didn't even know all of that was a thing until I started talking to other people about therapy and counseling, and they told me about it. I don't even think any of my counselors have told me about it yet. Anyways, I got into the training and I liked it. Every day was a different day. You didn't know what call you was gonna get. Matter of fact, yeah, tell me this. Do it seem like when you take calls, you get the same category of call for that day? Like, let me know if this happens to anybody else, because I know I come to work and I just be like, okay, what's today going to be? Is today going to be a car accident call? A car accident day. Is today going to be a seizure day? Is today going to be a passing out unconscious day? Because I know we use protocols. We use EMD and EFD, international dispatch protocols that we have to process our calls with. So we have a script that we have to read in my call center. And so some places I don't think have a script. I think y'all can freestyle it. I think y'all can I think it's just given to you guys to just know what important questions to ask, like just get the basic important questions and then dispatch on it? Or is it based on how big or how small your town is that you're dispatching for? I'd really like to know all this information. So if anybody have this stuff, definitely feel free to drop it in the comment below. Talk to me and let me know. Or you can email it to me. You can email it at hearmewhenISaypodcast@gmail.com. I'm not closing just yet, but since I'm talking about emails, I might as well just throw it out there right now. I'll still drop it in the I'll put it in the comment below as well, so you guys can have it to reference if you want to reach out to me. If you don't want to share it in the comment section, but that's how I feel. So depending on if it's a full moon or quarter moon, I really think sometimes that may or may not affect the psyche of people. I could be wrong, but I can for sure say that I've noticed certain days that I come to work, it just seems like the bulk of my calls is this one set protocol. Some days it just seems like everybody's having chest pain. Like every call, like it just seems if I take 150 calls for that shift, at least 50 of them are core chest pain calls, And so I was just like, what's going on today? Did people just not take their meds, or everybody's eating the wrong foods and giving them heartburn? Why is today a chest pain day for me? Or why is today seem like it's a car accident day for me? Everybody's having a car accident, but it's dry outside. It's not raining. So what is going on with everybody having fender benders? It just feels like that's just the pace of calls for me from shift to shift. But I appreciate it because, like I said, each day is a new day. You never know what you're going to get. So a lot of times when I'm driving to work, I'm like, all right, Lord, what you got for me today? Like, what type of calls am I going to get today? And some days you just get those butthole of callers. You just get those callers that just want to give you every bit of their butt to kiss, every bit of their butt to just, shine in your face, okay? And it is what it is, you know? I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole by myself, but it just seems like some days you come across more attitude callers than other days. And that whole thank you so much for helping me, thank you for all that you do, thank you, they're here, thank you, very few far in between. You truly do not get those calls as frequently as you think you would get them, and as frequently as you would like to get them. I do enjoy the moments when you do get a chance to get those calls, because it helps me to reset the energy, reset the tone, and it helps me to remember my why I got into this in the first place. Because I still want to save my community. I still want to help people who are in distress or in need of some type of medical care, for sure. It's just a matter of making sure that I can serve them in a healthy space and in a positive space for myself, from my end, delivering it to them, if that makes sense. So that's kind of a snippet about me and how I got into telecommunicating. And I was not prepared for the mental health, the psych calls, with people calling you and threatening to kill themselves right now over the phone. They don't want to live anymore, and they just say a lot of triggering things. But being as though I had not had any major trauma that had happened in my life within the last 5 to 7 years prior to working at the job, those calls were not fading me as much when I first got hired. So I was able to tolerate them. I was able to be neutral to the callers. I was able to read the script. I was able to stay focused on what they were saying. I was able to offer empathy a little bit easier, but still stay in an emotional safe space for myself. Once 2020 hit, honey, hear me when I say, all of that went out the window. Okay? None of that was in existence for me. So I had to now take a step back. I had to breathe. I had to recalibrate. And I had to restructure me. And then I had to restructure the way that I operate, the way that I showed up to work, let alone the way that I showed up for myself. So it's just been a journey. Let me say that. It's really, truly, honestly been a journey. It's still very much rewarding. I still wouldn't trade being a telecommunicator for anything in the world. If I could definitely rewind a lot of the trauma that's happened to me, I would love to do that, and we'll go into that maybe another episode. But I wanted to still keep it a little light-hearted for this episode. I'm not trying to drop no major bombs right now. But at the end of the day, this is me. This is Lady T, talking all things telecommunicating to all telecommunicators around the world. So hear me when I say, I love what I do, and I am loving the space that I'm in right now, that I am creating this platform, and I'm starting with me, divulging, my thoughts, my feelings, some of my personal experiences. If you like them, great. If you love it, great. If you don't, great. Everything's not for everybody. and I'm already well aware of that. So at the end of the day, this is my experience. This is my story, my truth, and can't nobody argue with me about that. It's what happened to me. I would like to be able to learn more about other telecommunicators and what their experiences have been. If they've worked at more than one telecommunicator and they can compare and contrast and things of that nature. I definitely want to have the conversations with everyone. I definitely want to bounce ideas off of everyone. And let's just grow this community and have a safe space where we all can just have these conversations. You could say, I liked it, I didn't like it, I hated it, it sucked, it was the worst, it was the best, I'm gonna do it again, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And we can all confirm, deny, hold each other accountable, stand in agreement, and continue to show up as our best selves for this community, these callers, one phone call at a time, one prayer at a time, one conversation at a time. That's the goal. That's the focus. That's the mission. So with that being said, I am going to wrap up this episode of Hear Me When I Say, the podcast, and I'm going to let you guys go. But I would definitely love to hear from you. I want to focus on self-care. So this is me doing my self-care while multitasking and showing up for you guys as well. So I don't know. Maybe next time I'm going to try to pick a different park where the water doesn't look so stale and so ugh. And I don't know if you can hear these crickets. Whatever this noise that's buzzing real loud or real close to me, one of the two. Either way, I don't like it. I'm gonna tell you that much. But it's different. It's a different spot. I like the trail, the nature walk that it took for me to get over here to this side, so that was pretty cool. And this is one of my self-care techniques. This is definitely one of the things that brings me relaxation. It helps me to decompress. It helps me to breathe a little bit, maybe because I'm outside. And it's just something about the openness. The fact that it's open, I can see the sky, but I can see the water, but then I can see the trees, feel a breeze every once in a while. And it just helps me to tap in with nature, just reconnect, and just like it grounds me. Like it keeps me grounded, and I can reset. It gives me space to do like a nice reset for the week, or a nice reset for the rest of the week, depending on what day I come out here. And it helps me to feel like I can show back up for the next shift in a healthier headspace, with more patience and more tolerance for the potential negative calls that's going to come with the shift. If you're calling and you have a real genuine, I can't breathe, help, my type of call, that's the call I'm waiting for. You know, if you're like my arm hurt, my chest hurt, it hurts, it's radiating, oh my gosh, hurry up, my type of call. I got you, sir. I got you, ma'am. We on the way, okay? They whoop, whoop, lights and sirens. They rocking out, okay? They on the way. But if you just say, oh, I was cooking and I scratched my ear with a noodle and it broke off, I need you to come get it. And then you call back an hour later, where are y'all? What's taking so long? Somebody could be dead by now. From a noodle in your ear. That part. So, no offense, but you know, you get the calls that just You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh just to keep from going off, because come on, seriously. You just get the calls that's like, oh, I was clipping my toenail and I cut it too deep and it's bleeding, but I need you to come get me and take me to the hospital. I don't have a way to get there. But you can walk. But I mean, I just don't have a ride. I don't have a car. So is your toe amputated? No, I just nicked my toe. I was cutting my toenails. I just nicked my toe, but it won't stop bleeding. I just need you to hurry up and come and get me. Okay. Okay. So, with that being said, let me stop saying that. So, hear me when I say, depending on the calls you get, it can really challenge you as a call taker, as a dispatcher, to not get burnt out with getting a lot of the calls that is not lights and sirens, near-death emergencies. So I want you to understand, I understand every call is an emergency to you. As a caller, it is your emergency. I'm fully aware of that. It is your emergency. I respect that it is your emergency. But some calls are not near-death, life and death type of calls. But you still want someone to respond. Lights and sirens, running through intersections, honking at all the cars that's in traffic during rush hour, whether it's morning or afternoon, to get to you. Because okay. And it's frustrating and it's overwhelming to hear people blatantly say, oh, I just don't have a car. And you don't have a friend you could call. You can't phone a friend. You can't call a family member to come get you and take you to the closest emergency room or urgent care. You don't have the Uber app or the Lyft app on your phone to come and get you, which would be a way cheaper bill than the ambulance. It's with the way the world is today, for the most part, depending on if you're in the city or way out in the boonies, in those rural areas, there's still a bus, a metro system, a light rail, a train, something, if you just wrap it up enough to get you to the emergency room for your toe. The noodle in your ear, you can walk, you can drive, you can get someone to ride, or you can go next door and just ask your neighbor to pull it out with some tweezers. You would think that there would be other options prior to calling 911. But I get it. I'm learning. When you are panicking, when you're stressed out, freaking out, all of the things, common sense just... I'm learning that that's a real thing. Common sense is not common. Common sense don't exist when you're freaking out, when you're like this. So, they didn't train me for that, though. Being a telecommunicator, they didn't train me to get ready for these callers who are going to be panicking and they're not going to be thinking clearly. Get ready, they're going to be freaking out, and it's going to be an emergency to them, but it's common sense to you. But because they're freaking out, it doesn't register in that capacity for them. They didn't tell me that. So I'm taking these calls and I'm hearing it from a calm place. And I'm like, really? You calling me for this? But you can't say it like that on the phone. You can't sound like that. So you got to sound like you care. But it's like some of the callers have actually said it to me. Like after they calm down, after I got help on the way, or after I was able to explain to them, hey, I need you to go do this, go do that, get this, apply it here, apply that. Now tell me, has it calmed down? Has it stopped? Has it changed? And they're like, yes, it did. Okay, great. Now they can breathe. And they're like, I'm so sorry. I was just freaking out. I didn't know what to do, but thank you so much for helping me. I just panicked. I was freaking. So every once in a while, every blue moon, I get one of those callers who realize that call was extreme for them in the heat of the moment, but it's really simple. It's really calm. And sometimes they be like, yeah, you can cancel the ambulance. You can cancel them. They don't need to come. I'm good now. I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be good. You guys don't have to come. Got it. Not a problem. Glad I was able to help you think through your situation. I'm glad you was able to get it resolved and you don't need an ambulance, because we always would hope that you would not need an ambulance. We want everybody to be healthy. We want everybody to be happy, everybody to be alive and sober and well. But if you need one, you need one. If you call, our job is to respond. This is why we show up every day. So hear me when I say that's how I got into the world of telecommunicating. And out of all of my jobs that I've worked, from being an EMT, being a firefighter, being a CNA, working in the hospital, telecommunicating is by far the most challenging. It's not impossible to do. It's not too hard to do. It is just the most challenging, because I thought I was saving myself physically and mentally and emotionally from physically seeing dead bodies out, in the world, and physically seeing, a lot of bleeding, a lot of broken bones, and a lot of ODs, and a lot of people high out on drugs and stuff like that. So I thought, I was like, I could still save them on this side and it'll shield me a little bit. Nah, I just traded in physical stress for mental stress, and mental emotional stress, if any dispatcher knows it, is way harder on the body than physical stress is, than physical stress will ever be. Physical stress, you can rest like this and relax. Mental stress, even when I'm like this and I'm clocked out, it still can be going. It's still processing. I can be at one of the most happiest times of my life, and a memory will flash past, or a smell will come past me, or a song will come on, and next thing you know, I'm back in that space again, even though I'm physically in this space right here. And it can get to you. It can mess with you. It sometimes can mess up the rest of your day. It can mess up the mood of whatever you're in at that moment, if you're not careful. If you're not careful, if you let it. So with that being said, Tiffany, you keep saying with that being said, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on it, guys. I promise you I'm going to work on it. I don't know if it annoys you, but I catch myself, and I want to not say it. Maybe I should have named the podcast with that being said, but no. I like hear me when I say, because I want to hear what everybody else has to say. I want to hear what all of you got to say, and I'm pretty sure the world needs to hear what you all got to say, because us as telecommunicators, when we get cussed out, we can't cuss them back out. When we get told that they pulled our call and replayed it and graded us on it, because we get graded on our calls. At least at my department, we get graded on our calls, and they listen to it and say, you didn't ask this question, you didn't ask this verbatim, you left out a word on that sentence, so it gave it a different meaning, so we're going to mark you down on it, which means we're going to take your points down towards your yearly evaluation, which is your raise at the end of the year. That's a whole nother level of stress. So I got to come in and show it for the calls, but then I got to also show it for how I ask the questions, In what order and in which verbatim am I asking the question to get dinged or marked down for it, and then that goes towards my performance pay. Then you got the stresses of your coworkers, if you're working with a good team of people that night or that shift. If you're working with a supervisor that you get along with that shift. All of those factors contribute to your stress level as a telecommunicator, to your stress and your mental health level, and how you show up for these callers if next to you is John like blowing you. It's like, alright, I'm already blown and now I gotta take this call, you know. Anyways, I digress. So, hear me when I say telecommunicating is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak. That's for sure. It's not as cut and dry and as... what's the right word to say? It's not as... I don't know the right word to say. It's just not as happy-go-lucky. It's not as cut and dry. What's your address? What's your telephone number? All right, we sending help. Sit still by the door. Stay safe. Hide real quick. Get out of danger. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Not a problem. You don't have to thank me anymore. Go ahead and, talk to the responders. They did now. It's not that. It's just not that. Every once in a while, you can get one of those great calls. It goes so smoothly. The caller's cooperative. The caller calms down when you ask them to calm down. The caller gives you the answers to all your questions just like that. But it's very few far in between. And when you're taking 150 to 200 calls per shift, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, till next time, I guess maybe the next episode I'll go a little bit more in depth in my traumas and my triggers and all the things. But in the meantime, just what I've divulged so far with my tenure there as a telecommunicator, I've endured quite a bit, and that's just with the job by itself. So we've not even gotten into my personal life and how that has affected how I showed up for work. We've not gotten into really too much about your work environment and how that can play a role and add or take away from how you continue to perform at work. It's all of the things. It's so many different categories. It's so many different things I want to talk about, but at the same time, I really don't know where to get started. It's like I want to divulge it all, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I don't do like an overload dump. At the same time, certain things pop up to me and I don't want to jump all around. I want to kind of be smooth and flowing with whatever I talk about per episode. But at the same time, I want to be natural. I want to be genuine. I want to be raw, relatable, authentic, as best I can, as best I know how. Hey, how you doing? This is me. Welcome to Hear Me When I Say Podcast in the Park. I don't know if every episode is going to be in the park, but I know for sure while the summertime is here, because that's my favorite season, the hotter the better. I'm okay with it. I want to capture this environment. I want to capture this scenery and this place of tranquility for me. And hopefully it'll offer some good vibes, some good tranquility for you as well as the viewers, as the listeners. And maybe you can offer some back. Who knows? Wherever the next episode is going to be recorded at. But in the meantime, in between time, this is where we at, y'all. So, I think I'm going to find another park next time. Maybe with some better water quality. Until then, you guys keep telecommunicating. Keep taking these calls, one call at a time, one prayer at a time. And we'll keep having the self-care, work-life balance discussions, one conversation at a time. Love y'all. Till next time, hear me when I say we're talking all things telecommunicating. I'm your boo, Lady T. You can follow me on Instagram at MsNZ_Tiffany.WGV. And you can email me if you have any questions, any concerns, any topics that you want to talk about that maybe you don't want to bring up, but you're okay with me bringing up on your behalf. I don't mind doing that either. And you can email me at hearmewhenIsaypodcast@gmail.com. And we can go ahead and have the conversations, and let's get it out in the open, because a lot of people to this day still do not consider us telecommunicators as first responders. And in all honesty, we are the first responders. We're the first that responds to all emergencies, and then we send our first responders to respond on scene to the emergency. So, welcome to all of my first responders at the Hear Me When I Say podcast. And yeah, I look forward to hearing what you got to say next. All right? Love you. Till next time.